Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So welcome to another new video on my YouTube channel. And these days in Vancouver, we're having a lot more sunny days. And today the sky color is not that perfect, but at least it's not raining. I'm really enjoying these days. And here we are at the SkyTrain station, going to downtown Vancouver. So this is the East Vancouver area close to Commercial and Broadway SkyTrain station. And then Main Street, Falls Creek area, the Science World, and the stadium. Yeah, so after seeing stadium, the SkyTrain is going below the ground level, kind of like subway. Yeah, so at Burrard Station, we have to take the escalator up to the ground level. And we are in the heart of downtown Vancouver. I love the mural there that says create and inspire. So about 5 minutes walk from Burrard Station, we're at this beautiful vista of Vancouver's waterfront. Yeah, so Canada Place, the port of Vancouver, where you can see a lot of sea airplanes and also cruise ships in the spring and summertime. And let's walk down the lane here to a cafe. And because it's a weekday in winter, it's not too busy here. In the summer, it's going to be much more busy. And let's go in. There's a souvenir shop in here and also the cafe on this side. Okay, so I ordered a bubble tea and a grilled cheese tuna melt sandwich. And just going to do a fun sketch. So the view outside containing mostly cold colors, and it's nice to include the food and drink with warm tones. So I'm starting to draw the contour outline of the half sandwich laying on top, and trying to suggest the thickness of the bread crust. So the two thin sides and the corner there of the flat rectangular prism in a really organic form, and then suggesting the cheese and the multi-grain pieces, the grill marks using much more gentle pressured lines. And now I'm drawing the other half sandwich, laying in a different angle compared to the one on top. So just the bumpy organic contour outline, the multi-grain texture, and some sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds. And the next piece of bread underneath, grill marks. I want to finish the bottom piece of bread later when I finish the contour outline, the plate overlapping on top of it. Just like this. Yeah, so the inner brim of the plate is very gentle, keeping the outline nice and light. Yeah, and this is the actual contour outline of the plate, and suggesting the thickness of the brim. And now I want to overlap the cup of bubble tea on the right side of the plate, starting with the cylinder shape. And the top and bottom of the cup are curves, not flat lines. Yeah, and there are a lot of these parallel curves around the brim of the cup. Now I'm drawing this little dome and the opening holding the large straw, which is another kind of cylinder sticking out. And the shape of the lid is half a sphere. And it's transparent, so we can see the bottom half of the straw going into the liquid line, and drawing these loose shapes of ice cubes and the printed lines on the outside of the cup, the bubbles. None of these are perfect circles, and just color them in with solid brown ink for the dark tone, finishing the drawing of the plate. Okay, and now it's time to paint watercolors. So I'm starting with my large tip Holbein Water Brush. This one is kind of like a base color for the sandwich, using very diluted yellow ochre and slightly more concentrated yellow ochre. Yellow ochre mixed with a bit of burnt sienna for the first layer of the bubble tea. Yeah, so tea and coffee, they always contain this burnt sienna and also a bit of orangey tones. Yeah, so I also mixed a tiny bit of orange into yellow ochre and burnt sienna. So the color definition is more attractive and sensational. And just grabbing some pure burnt sienna with a little bit of Van Dyke brown to paint the crust areas. So on some part of the crust, the brown may not be that intense. So I'm diluting the burnt sienna a bit and even more for the surface of the bread. So water control in the world of watercolors is always very important. And just grabbing some orange to paint the cheddar cheese area, sandwiched in between the bread, leaving some little spots to show the highlight of the cheese. Now I'm using the mix of Van Dyke brown and burnt sienna in a pretty diluted version for the grill marks. Again, playing with water control because every stroke could be a different tone of brown. So a lot of times we're having trouble painting those grill marks or pretty much anything. You're probably not using enough levels of different tones. And you actually don't need that many colors. All you have to is to just stick maybe with 2 or 3 colors to make the bread sandwich much more interesting. Again, the secret is water control. And adding these subtle little marks of slightly different value, another layer for the grill marks so they look stronger. And for the seeds, using leftover green, bit of shadow. Okay, now it's time to move on to shading the cup of bubble tea. The light mostly comes from the right-hand side, so I see the left side is more shaded. So using a more concentrated burnt sienna and Van Dyke brown, yeah, focusing on just shading the left side. And using leftover bluish gray to shade the white straw on the left as well, nice and light. And the plastic lid, yeah, just partially, leaving some paper white areas for the shine. And another layer of heavier gray for a bit of contrast, especially around the brim areas where there's a lot of overlappings. And now it's time to paint the bluish gray plate using the mix of cobalt blue and permanent violet, diluted with a lot of water. And for the shadow and the overall plateau area of the plate going down, I'm using a more concentrated version of blue violet and having fun getting this organic spattering pattern using these little dotting brush marks of various values. So as you can see, each brush mark is of a slightly different value of bluish gray. Intensify the shadow a bit more, just so the sandwich is standing out, popping out from the page, even better. And then painting the shadows using leftover bluish gray. Very concentrated here, touching the brim. Yeah, the same for the bubble tea cup as well. Shadows are usually very concentrated, touching the contour outlines. And here's a look of my finished sketches. And now it's time to enjoy my lunch. The sandwich is actually okay. I think they put too much sour pickles in there. Now, after eating, I'm ready to sketch the panorama in front of me. And I want to move the couple on my far left to the view right in front of me. So starting to draw the shape of the hair of the guy, the shoulders and the upper body, the elbows. We can't see his forearms from this angle. So just the upper arm and the elbows. And now drawing the back of the stool, which is very short. And drawing the pockets and the bum sitting on the stool. And the tall legs of the stool, and then drawing these brackets supporting the seat so it's not collapsing, and then drawing his friend, the shape of the hair first, and then the face, the shoulder. I can only see one side. Now I'm drawing this dangling leg of the guy and his leather shoe. The other leg is actually on top of the one dangling, and the shoe is very foreshortened. And drawing the elbow and the folds on the lady's jacket, giving her a happy face. It's actually pretty hard to see her face, as most of it is being obstructed by the man. Now I'm starting to draw the contour outline of the mountains, adding a seagull. It's always satisfying to trace the organic look of the mountains. And here is a lower level. More layers of peaks behind with snow caps. Okay, so now I'm moving on to drawing the aisle, the contour outline of the trees on the aisle, and it's getting way lower, towards the right. This part is actually Stanley Park seawall, and Lionsgate Bridge is somewhere in the middle. And just adding one more seagull in the slight distance. Now I'm drawing a little sea airplane departing, going somewhere to maybe North Vancouver or Whistler, Vancouver Island, and then drawing Lionsgate Bridge, situated visually in the middle of the aisle, but it's actually behind, in the next layer of the aisle. Connecting mainland Vancouver and North Vancouver. And then drawing a boathouse and small boats, cargo ships. And suggesting the specks of snow on the peaks. Now I'm actually drawing the railings of the walkway, right outside the window to show a sense of distance, and that the couple, they're not sitting outside, they're sitting inside. And using quick, loose vertical strokes to just suggest the pattern of the railings. Now, I want to go even further to suggest that, the people, they're sitting inside by drawing this large window frame. There are a lot of vertical and horizontal lines on window frames, using loose strokes for water ripples on the inlet. And here's the look of my finished line work. And is still very quiet in front of me. I think it's the quiet time before the busy lunch hour. Okay, now it's time to have fun painting, bringing this scenery to life with colors. So I'm actually seeing a lot of muted colors because the sky is actually kind of overcast. So I started with a very quick light wash of diluted yellow ochre to show the sunshine pushing through the clouds, and then using diluted cerulean blue and a little bit of cobalt blue to paint below and above the bright yellow streak. And as you can see, I'm using the wet into wet technique. So very watery paint in light tones. Let the yellow blend with the blues. And now I'm painting the first layer of the inlet. Still using very diluted turquoise blue by mixing lime green with cerulean blue and cobalt blue. This is a very watery wash. To show the shine of the water, not too dark yet. And the mountains are looking very grayish from the first sight in winter on this overcast day, but I can feel the organic glow of the soil beneath all of those cold colored trees. Same for the foreground. Okay, so after the yellow underpainting is dried, now I'm adding some warm yellow-green by mixing yellow ochre with viridian green. for the highlight part of the trees, and then wet into moist, a shade of green by mixing burnt sienna into viridian green. So now, as you can see, I'm playing with a good balance of bright green and darker green. So the brush marks of paint, they're quite moist, but not flooding wet. So the colors are not running into each other like crazy. They're just blending together softly. So it's very important to use a good quality water brush that is not way too watery. And painting the grassland underneath the bridge. So if you look more intently at mountains on winter, on an overcast day, you're gonna see they may be very muted blues, but not grays, not water mixed with black. So I mixed cobalt blue with permanent violet and a tiny bit of viridian green. So starting from here, I'm just keep dragging the paint over to the lower part of the mountain, so I have a value transition. The lower part is looking a little bit misty. The area close to the contour outline of the mountain is of a more intense tone of bluish gray. Yeah, so from my experience, mountains, they are never just silhouettes of one single color and tone. By having a sense of value or color transition, the mountains, they're gonna look more lively. And as you can see, the yellow underneath the muted blue is also helping the mountain to look more lively. Now I'm using this smaller water brush to paint in between those blocks of houses of North Vancouver and West Vancouver, mixing more violet into blue because mountains very far away, they could have like a purplish tone. The mountains closer up, more greenish, painting the cargo ships using leftover red. Okay, now it's time to shade the water of the inlet in a more slowly and careful way. So I started giving like a bit of shadow below the land line using more concentrated turquoise green. Again, this is a mix of lime green and cobalt blue. As you can see, the value is of no huge difference between this second layer and that first layer. Yeah, larger and thicker strokes for the lapping water in the front, more delicate strokes for the lapping water a little far away. And now I'm just mixing like a blue-violet kind of gray to paint the foreground walkway. And then intensify the green of the forest on the aisle. As you can see, watercolor, when it dries, the tone tend to fade off. So I'm actually intensifying some of the trees on the aisle. And adding the brick texture on the walkway right outside the window and adding the shadow from the railings above. Yeah, and keep using the leftover gray to shade the seagulls. Now it's time to paint the skin colors, which is mostly for the lady by mixing magenta and a little bit leftover orange, diluted with a lot of water. For hair, I like to use burnt sienna, Van Dyke brown, and a little bit leftover blue. Yeah, so everything needs to be shaded, including hair and these people's outfits. So just using cerulean blue, which is kind of like an echoing color with the sky for the lady's outfit, her jacket. Probably wearing jeans, and this guy, I think he was wearing gray. Using bluish gray to shade around the armpits and around the neck, the waist area. Yeah, it contains a lot of shading tones. Leather shoes using leftover brown. And yeah, the back of the chair and the legs of the chair is a nice echoing color with the trees and the water outside the window. And yeah, shade the chair with another layer of intense turquoise, so it really shines. Okay, and it's time to paint the jeans of the man using cobalt blue. Yeah, a little bit of permanent violet for the darkest area around the bum, shadow from the chair landing on the pants. And here is a look of my finished sketch in a deep, sensational way of what I see in front of me. And thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. If you like it, please click like and leave me a comment below. And now it's getting more busy now in front of me as it's lunchtime. And here I am with my finished sketch. So I will see you around in the next video very soon. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.